Okay, we live.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Sandra Ferreira, and I am the regional lead for the Global Mental Health Peer Network for the African region. Today's webinar will be the 6th webinar that will be hosted by the African region, and today's webinar is titled, "You Are Not the Rain." I'm very excited and very much looking forward to hearing from our presenters today. We've chosen quite a broad spectrum today, so we'll be hearing from Edwin, from Rebecca, and from Marie on 3 different conditions or lived experiences, so to say. Just quickly, as far as lived experience goes, we're obviously an organization that's for anyone who's new to the conversation today or to the Zoom call or to the live. We are an organization that is purely made of people with lived experience, and it is a platform to express leadership through your lived experience. We are experts by experience, so to say. From there, I'd like to jump straight into it. Unfortunately, one of our presenters can't be with us today. She has a family emergency, but we will be starting with a very vocal activist and one of our powerhouses, so to say, within Africa, and that is Edwin. So Edwin, without any further ado, can I ask you to please introduce yourself and tell us about your experiences with ADHD and addiction?
Thank you very much, Sandra. I'm really humbled to be here. So everybody, I think I can say my name is Edwin. I have a lived experience of ADHD, depression, anxiety, and substance use disorder. Actually, I am part of Global Peer Mental Health Network. I am currently a committee member representing Kenya. So that is just me in a nutshell. Professionally, I'm an accountant by profession, but when time comes for me to talk about my lived experience, I always take a minute to try and share. I know. So, actually, I had severe diagnosed during treatment for substance use disorder, and it came as a surprise because I come from also that culture that we don't have mental health issues, or mental health issues we don't speak about. So the first time I was actually told that I've been diagnosed with ADHD, I told my psychiatrist and my psychologist at the time that in our family we don't have mad people, we don't have people who are crazy. That's how ignorant I was at the time. And it took me quite a lot of time to come into terms with the fact that I have been struggling with the disorder for over 30 years. I was diagnosed when I was actually 30 years. And when I look back nowadays, I see how much people and society at large failed me because they didn't know it is a disorder. They didn't know it was a condition that can be managed and treated. And I remember I have gone through a fair bit of harassment and even some bits of physical violence because of who I was, or because of who I am, because of having a disorder that people don't understand, people don't know about. And every time it got the better of me, people would think I'm either acting out or I'm lazy. I'm not just willing to apply myself. And those are some of the things that actually I can point out as the highlights when I was before I really understood what ADHD was. And the interesting thing about it is, while most people will look at the substance use disorder as the main problem, actually the substance use disorder was more or less a coping mechanism for my ADHD that I didn't know existed at the time. And I have seen that with a lot of people, whereby people will only treat the symptoms, that is maybe substance use disorder, and leave the in-depth, the other deeper issues like depression, ADHD, and the rest. So it becomes a struggle. But so far, I have been quite lucky because I think I've been progressing well. Medication is part and parcel of what I do to take care of myself, and I think that is what I can share in a nutshell about a small introduction of how I got diagnosed and how I'm faring on at the moment. Sandra, over to you.
Thank you, Edwin. Thank you for that introduction. It's very interesting and on point when you say that the substance use disorder goes hand in hand with the initial diagnosis of your ADHD. I can also relate to that. I have also had my issues with substances over the years, and it's often highlighted more than your actual original diagnosis. But like you say, it's not usually the main problem. There's a lot of trauma, or there's another condition in the background. Having said that, I want to speak a little bit about the substance use disorder, because that is something that does affect many people globally. And as an African region, I don't feel like we've spoken about it too much within the last year. Not to say that, the ADHD is something that's less important or anything like that. I just think from a more regional or continental perspective, it's something we should just chat about more today. So on that, I'm up for correction, but I think in terms of your sobriety, you've been sober for over 5 years. What's been your key to that? What would you say to someone who is potentially on day one or struggling even to get to day one with substance use?
Thank you very much for that question. It's actually a very important question, Sandra. Well, I'm looking at 7 years sobriety this June. June 24th, I'll be 7 years sober, and it's a journey. It's a journey that has been quite interesting with a lot of ups and downs. But I think one thing I can pinpoint that has been, one of the key instruments or the key pointers for me to be where I am is I think there's a lot of self-acceptance that comes with it. I no longer because I also know that people really don't get to a place where they actually consider that, yes, I do have a problem with substance abuse, and these can lead to issues. So I think one of the things that I did early on, that is early on in 2015, around October, November, there is I started becoming more self-accepting of who I am and the kind of diagnosis I have. The other bit is a lot of self-awareness. Once the denial and once I acknowledge that I do have a problem with substances and I do have to do something about it, I think I delved into learning and trying to figure out how substance use disorder manifests in people like me who have ADHD and the kind of issues that can trigger me, and try to understand a lot about substance use disorder as a mental health issue. So I did a lot of reading. I still continue to do a lot of reading. I still continue to engage people who have similar lived experiences so that I can also grow. I don't want to be stagnated at one place, because once I do that, I'll get comfortable, and when I get too comfortable, the thought of using is likely to come back. So once I did that, I think the other best thing that I can say has also helped out is giving back. I know there are a lot of people in my circles and in my networks who are struggling with substance use disorder. So one thing that I have done, I have intentionally done, is actually to be in a position where I can be able to offer as much help as possible, as much guidance as possible, and as much resources that are available to me in that regard to people who are still, struggling with substance use disorder. So it is a whole a whole, a whole combination of a lot of things. And one of the most important things that I have come to also appreciate is having a strong support system. I have a robust support system that actually works to my benefit. And along the way, along the years that I've been sober, I think I have been able to be very intentional on whom I want as part of my support system. If I feel that I am not comfortable with certain people, certain places, or certain things that might affect how I look at sobriety and how well I can maintain my sobriety, if they are not working for me, if they are working against me, they have to go. So I have also been very intentional on choosing the right kind of support, because as you progress in recovery, you also have that choice. And I think this is something that people should realize, that you also have a choice in the kind of people you want around you at the time you're working your program or you're working your recovery. So at times it has to be very intentional, and it has to be coming from you, that I do want person X or I do want certain things met, so that I can feel I'm working towards my sobriety, so that I can maintain so that I can be able to keep substance use disorder at bay. So I think that is the few things that I have managed to do. So basically, self-awareness, self-acceptance, having a strong support system, and using them in a way that they complement each other and they work together for you. You get? I think that is one of the most important things that I have learned over the period of 7 years of sobriety. Yeah, thank you, Sandra. I don't know whether I've answered everything, but I can repeat where it's not clear.
No, I think you've captured it perfectly, Edwin. And there's so many things that I draw from that. And like you said, it's not a one size fits all. What might work for you won't work for the next person. But at the same time, there's a scaffolding. I do believe, like you say, the self-awareness, the acceptance. A very important thing that you pointed out there for me was that you continuously, you learn every day. And for me, that's also very important when it comes to recovery and stability, etc., is that it's not an end game. It's a continuous drive on the road, and it's very cliche at times, but it really is. Every day you face new challenges, etc. And then obviously, as you say, giving back is huge. If you feel like your community or even those in your close circles can benefit from your recovery, it's a huge thing when you feel like you are valued and your voice is important. And also, just to add on to the support, like you say, I think it's pivotal for me when it comes to treatments. Medication is second to me, second or third even. I think support is fundamentally the most important thing that we need. So thank you, Edwin. Thank you for being so honest about that as well. I'm just quickly going to go to Marie. She's got her hand up, and then I'll bounce back to Edwin. Marie.
Okay, I'm sorry, Sandra. I have a quick question for Edwin. Personally, did you take any medication, or because there are different opinions about this, especially in Africa? And then I just have the opportunity to ask Edwin today personally if he did take any medication or if he's taking, and is it helping him? Thank you.
Thanks, Marie.
Thank you very much, Marie. Thank you very much, Marie. Initially, during the first few months, of course, I was put on medication for depression, and that was managed at that point. Currently, I'm only on medication for ADHD. ADHD is basically was actually my primary diagnosis, and the rest were actually issues that came about because of how severe it was and because of substance use disorder. So at the moment, I'm only on medication for ADHD, which helps a bit. It doesn't do away with all the symptoms, because I'm highly inattentive, impulsive, and those are some of the things that I actually try help with medication. It doesn't work 100%, but it is much better with medication than without. And just like Sandra said, this is what works for me, and it has been working for quite some time, almost 7 years now. So I think that is important for us to note that medication may not solve everything, but it helps you manage some issues like ADHD and anything that was in regard to substance use. The only thing that happened, I remember there was a detoxification, which was done at a hospital. And then after that, I went through psychotherapy and all the other issues, family therapy and all that. And that's how my journey actually started. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Edwin. I think that answered the question quite nicely. We do know that medication does play a role. Obviously, with lots of things, I also am on medication. But as I mentioned just now, I do believe the other structures and scaffoldings are as important. So that's why we have organizations such as this, I feel, because the element of support is incredible. It's been my primary pillar to my continuous recovery. So yeah, but like you say, medication definitely does have its role. I was going to ask you a beyond medication question, but I think you've answered that quite nicely already. So Edwin, I'm just going to throw a random question at you, but I have no doubt you'll be okay with it. I just wanted to ask if you could give yourself words of wisdom before you were diagnosed. I know you said this has been a good many years now, but what would you tell yourself? Or what have you learned? What words of wisdom would you give yourself?
Thank you very much. I think one thing I would say is that Edwin, you are as normal as people come, because I think I grew up thinking I am abnormal. There's something serious wrong with me. That is why I keep getting into so many issues. And I think as a neurodiverse person, I think I have come to appreciate that I'm just different, and all of us are different. And so everybody, whether they have a mental health condition or not, everybody is different in their own, in their own way. And we consider that normal. So I think one thing I would tell myself would be, Edwin, you are as normal as any other person, and you will pull through. You will pull through life, and you may have ups and downs, but who doesn't? But you can actually make something out of yourself. Honestly, I never thought I would be where I am right now. In fact, I don't think I would have seen 2016 by the way I was living life at the time. So I think those are some of that is one thing that I would tell my younger self before diagnosis. Yeah, thank you.
That's lovely. When I was younger, I didn't believe in normal, strangely enough, and this was pre my diagnosis as well. I didn't quite grasp the concept of that everybody is the same, because we are all different and we're beautiful in our differences. So thank you, Edwin. Thank you so much for sharing your experiences and keeping your voice nice and loud as always. I appreciate you, and we really do appreciate that. Thank you. And I'm hoping there'll be some questions perhaps for you at the end as well. Thank you, Edwin. All right. From here, I'm going to go to our next speaker, to Rebecca. I'm very excited to have Rebecca as one of our presenters today. It's something that we also have not spoken about much within the last year, especially in this platform on webinars, to be exact. Rebecca, if you are there, can you please introduce yourself and tell us about your experiences with childhood trauma?
Thank you, Sandra. Good afternoon, everyone from Uganda. It's afternoon here. I hope we are all doing great and fine. My name is Rebecca Cherop. I am a mental health advocate, glad to be part of Global Mental Health Peer Network, and also I'm very passionate about mental health because I've had my own share of it. Yes, I'm a writer, currently a writer for Nation Media Group. I write about mental health every month. So I have a number of articles related to mental health and health in general. Yes, beyond that, I am the founder of the Semicolon Nation, which is a CBO that mainly focuses on providing community-based solutions for children and adolescents. Yes, and I'm also a mental health storyteller. Yes, so thank you everyone for coming in and coming to listen to us, and just as we share. So I have had I have lived experience with depression, anxiety, and PTSD. Mine really started when I was little. I was 5 years old and I went through loss. But growing up in our society, we grow up, you know, our society, where I come from, they don't tell children exactly what has happened. Yeah. So in the African setting, you'll see people mourning, but children are always left out. They don't involve children in the mourning seasons. So I didn't know what had happened. I lost my parents when I was 4. And growing up, I would ask my people who are my family members, where is daddy, where is mommy? You know, you're asking all those questions and no one is answering. And so I grew up with an expectation of, oh my God, maybe these guys are going to come back one day. Until when I was 9. And that's when I realized, I learned by myself that I knew what exactly death was. So I started having child disorders. So I had eating disorder, sleeping disorder. I was just, you know, a very interesting kid. I turned out to be very interesting, though my family thought I was just crazy. Yeah, they thought I was this stubborn kid who's just crazy and all, but I was actually sick. And I didn't know that I was even sick until when I was 21. Yeah. So I dealt a lot being a teenager, a child. I had very interesting symptoms because we are not aware about, we're not so aware about mental health and, you know, the treatment and the symptoms. Everyone around me just thought that I was crazy. So I went through it. I dealt a lot with grief. Grief. I had daddy issues. I don't know if you guys understand what daddy issues are, but yes. So until when I was after campus, that was in 2017 when I completed university, and it hit me bottom rock because now I started working and then I started staying alone, and that's when depression really hit. Yeah, you're in your own space, you are doing your own life, you think you're so fine, but in actual sense you're actually not. And so I start to have all these symptoms. It was so bad that I became suicidal, but thankfully I had a friend who was a psychiatrist, and so I opened up to him. He noticed the symptoms. I didn't actually open up because I was so scared. I was like, oh my God, they're going to take me to a mental health hospital. It was really hard. Yes, and also it was quite tough because naturally I'm not good at opening up. And so opening up about my feelings, and it's just so hard. And also at that moment, I didn't really know or who to open up to because after my parents passed on, we were so, you know, in the African setting, when parents pass away, children are normally, you know, one child goes with an auntie, another one goes with an uncle. So the bond between me and family, siblings wasn't there. So I didn't really know who to open up to. So I dealt with my issues alone. And so I had PTSD out of child abuse. I went through child abuse after my dad passed on. And so that all was it was very traumatic. But thankfully I went through medication, and years down the road, I got well. That was in 2019. But then again, during COVID, towards the end of last year, I had a relapse. And I was diagnosed again with depression. So yeah, I'm currently on treatment. This is my 5th month on treatment again. Yes, so that's basically just a short snippet about me. Yes.
Wow. Thank you, Rebecca. It's obviously the first time I've heard it from the horse's mouth, like they say. A bit of your story, and yeah, it's beautiful, and that you pushing through with your advocacy work, and obviously, I mean, 5 months into a new treatment is still very fresh. But good for you for coming here and, you know, speaking about your experiences, etc. I know it's not an easy thing to do, especially, well, for me, you know, initially I couldn't speak about my experiences for a long time. So good for you, and I'm glad we can give you the space, or that you have this space, or that we have this organization where you know that you are protected in a way. It's a safe space, it's a brave space. So thank you for your courage and bravery today in sharing what you've shared. So just on that, I mean, you have touched on it a bit, but how do you think your experiences, and sure, you really have been through so much tragedy, how have they molded you into the person that you are today, and the person that you potentially want to be in 10 years time, if I can throw that in the mix?
Well, I think dealt with it almost all my life, and I'm still dealing with it. It has made me appreciate, learn best how to love myself, yes, and be kind to myself, because I've realized that even if, you know, we do all the advocacy work and do everything, if somebody does not accept who they are, you know, if they don't accept who they are and love themselves and be kind to themselves, it's not going to. So I think for me, it's being very, very self-aware about me, about my feelings, about everything that is around me. And also it has shaped me in a way that I think right now I am more, so I have a lot of passion and zeal because I don't want to see anyone else go through what I went through, just because, you know, and there's the moments where I wanted to just talk to somebody and I didn't have that. And so why I share my story a lot is because I want people to listen and to learn that, oh my God, they're not alone. Yeah. So I want to use my story as an inspiration to just tell young people that they are not alone in these issues, that we've been there and we can help, and that we are there to help. And so, yes, this was really, it's because that's how I started journaling. So I write articles. I'm currently writing a book. My story should be soon. And this is just because I want to share with the world. I want to share with the world what I have learned, what I've been through, and to just tell people that they are not alone. So this is something that I'm not going to do only for 1 year, or it's a lifetime. It's purpose for me. Yeah, purpose to do this, and it has totally changed how I do life and how I view life, and I'm really grateful to that. Yeah.
That's wonderful. That's really, really wonderful. And I personally wish you all the best of luck, and I have all faith that you will do all these beautiful things. Write your book, share your story, like, do it. I'm a big believer in that. You know, part of healing is getting your story out, even if, you know, you don't reach a massive audience. It's really like, if just one person is listening or sees your story and they're like, oh, actually, you know, I'm not alone. There's other people out there that are also struggling. And the reason I know that for myself is that when I've been through my difficulties, my very low times, I often went online or you know, looking for stories of hope, of success, etc. And, you know, I might have read an article here or there, and I can't even remember the authors. It wasn't even important. It was just someone going, it's okay, just get through today. So
yes, and you know, it's beyond just telling the story. It's telling the story for people to get well and to have the strength and courage to move on and hope. But also, I strongly believe that our stories have you know, they have influence in changing policies in our countries, because in Uganda, in East Africa, we have like the worst policies when it comes. But, when we all come up and share our stories and tell the world that, these things are real, these things are real, I mean, they're happening. I think that that's a way of, letting our governments and our leaders know that they need to do something. So it's for me, it's beyond, telling my now and see solutions. Yes.
100%. I mean, as you know, being part of this this organization as well, is that it's a big push for lived experience to actually have a voice within policy and such. So yeah, we got to keep pushing, as you say. And it's sometimes you reach the one person, and then maybe one day you'll reach the voices on top, which is ideally where we want to be affecting change, obviously, for the mental health community. Fantastic. I'm going to throw a random question at you as well, Rebecca. I think you've answered the last one I was gonna ask you. I just like speaking about this as well. I don't know, in certain circles, mental health is desensitized a lot because it's some people might think, oh, people are speaking too much, which is quite ironic, because if you think like 10 years ago, maybe that no one was speaking about mental health, and now in certain circles, some people might be desensitized to that. Why do you think we need to be sharing our story? I know you have answered this a little bit, but if you could just expand on that. Why is it important for our stories to be consistently shared and our voices to be heard?
I didn't get you clearly, Sandra, so sorry. I think it's my network. Just if you could repeat the question.
No problem. Can you hear me better now?
Yes, please. Yes, I can.
Okay. I think you've spoken a bit about it, the importance of sharing our stories and such. But what I was saying is, in certain circles, some may believe that are being desensitized to speaking about mental health. Why do you think, as someone with lived experience, as an advocate and someone who has their own NGO, why is it important for us to continuously share our stories and our experiences? Did you get that?
Oh, okay, yes, thank you. I think it's very important for us to keep sharing our experiences, because every day, every second, every minute, somebody out there is dealing with these things. It's very, we can't say, yes, this is the end of mental illnesses. Yes, because they happen every day. Today, somebody has been diagnosed. Tomorrow, somebody is going to be diagnosed and they need this. So I think it's very important for us to share our stories, because it's something that happens every day. And so we have to learn to speak out, because it could be through social media, could be through an article, it could be through any other platform that can be there. So somebody can land onto your story and they're uplifted. The people need hope. There's so many things that are happening currently. There's a lot of economic distress where we are right now, and so many people are sick. So many people actually don't know that they are sick. That's one thing I've realized. And the fact that I've been in the mental health space, I've read so much about mental health. There are people around me that I know, you interact with somebody and you realize, oh my God, this person could be suffering from this, but they're actually not aware. Yes, so it's very important for us to speak out and to create awareness, because where I come from and the entire Africa in general, there's a lot of stigma when it comes to mental health. Yeah, people talk right now. Yes, people have started talking about it, but still there's need for educating people about what exactly mental health. It's not just stress, it's beyond that. Yeah, so it's very important. I remember when I just started dealing with mental illness, I looked for stories. I wanted stories, African stories of people that had dealt with mental illness, and I didn't find any. It was so hard to get articles or stories of people that had dealt with it, and I felt so bad. And that's one thing that motivated me into writing. And it's just like I keep thinking about somebody else who is in such a space that I was in, and they don't have access to that information. So personally, I believe information is very, very key. And yes, we need to spread it, because so many people out there are dealing with it and they don't know. but also if they get to know what are the solutions, where is treatment, where is the right information for them, who are they, who are they going to talk to, all those things keep running through my mind, and I think that's what we should be doing. Yes.
Fantastic.
Sure.
Thank you, Rebecca. Your passion comes through and it's lovely. Keep going.
Thank
And
you.
you've got many behind you, and I'm sure many will be in front of you one day, and you carry on doing what you're doing. It's lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you can obviously just stay on the call, we're going to go to Marie and then open
Sure.
the floor afterwards. So thank you. Marie, are you there?
Hi, Sandra. Yes, I'm
Hi.
here.
Okay, I'm first going to ask you, are you okay? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling much better now. I wasn't feeling too good when I joined, and I told you that I was feeling so, and you can see me just being relaxed, trying to feel comfortable even in the way I'm sitting. And we are talking about lived experience, so I keep it real. I don't try to max anything. So I'm glad to be here today. I had committed, so I said, okay, I'll do it.
Thank you. Yeah, that's why I just wanted to obviously check. Marie, for anyone who doesn't know, is also one of our most vocal advocates, and she's incredible. And like she says, she's not feeling well today, and she's happy to share that. And that's what we're about. But she's still happy to give us some insights, if that's okay. If you at any point, Marie, that if you're not feeling well, you can just log off, and we will never judge that.
That wouldn't happen.
Okay, all right, so let's go then. Marie, just tell us a little bit about yourself for those that might not know you, and then please share your experiences in terms of maternal mental health.
Yes, thank you. My name is Marie Abanga, and I'm chiming in from Douala, Cameroon. I was the first regional representative for Africa for the Global Mental Health Peer Network. I was voted in 2019. I joined the peer network in 2018, just a few months after its creation by our dearest Charlene. So it's kind of home and family for me. That's why I feel so free with the network, and I just keep it real there and all of that. So I am the founder of an organization called Hope for the Abused and the Battered. That's the banner right there. And it was also founded in 2018. I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder in 2014. I think they didn't just want to go into other things, but yeah, I've had a turbulent childhood. I've been through so much child abuse, domestic abuse, and whatever. But the most important thing for me is that through it all, I am now able to pinpoint, what was really going on in my life and how I can use all of those experiences to help people. And I chose to talk about maternal mental health because I realized I hadn't spoken about it in that way before. And recently, like a month ago, a young lady came up to me. She contacted me on social media, and she said she has this group on maternal mental health support, and she wanted me to be kind of a mentor. There are about 178 or more people from all over Africa, not just Cameroon, and it's called what? Postpartum Support Network. Okay, and it's basically young people, first-time moms and all of that. But yeah, the fuel of my generation there too, and she really looks up to me and all of that. And so I just shared my experience with them, and I was like, I haven't even focused on this experience from this angle and even shared it with the peer network. And then you just put up something, and I was like, okay, this is an opportunity to share it. So my experience with maternal mental health started with all of my pregnancies have had something, but the second one, that's my son. Before my son even, I had a miscarriage, and that already made me so bitter about pregnancy and stuff, because I had just gotten married, and in Africa, when you get married and you cannot have a child or you have a miscarriage, they start thinking there's something wrong with you. And I didn't get to grieve that miscarriage because you don't talk about it. If you talk about it, you're not going to have another child. And so I never talked about it with my ex-husband. and with nobody actually. I mean, only one friend knew, and she came and visited me in the hospital, and I'm still indebted to her up to today. So just imagine you go through something as traumatic, but you don't talk about it. Now I get pregnant, my son, and on the day he's supposed to be born, on the day he's born, I go into the hospital. I feel everything happening so fast, but I'm told, no, 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 nothing is happening. You're just blowing up things, and it's going to take some time. And so before they realize it, my water has burst and he's coming out. So I barely have time to climb onto the delivery table, and there's my son. And as soon as my son comes out, excuse me, he has a breathing problem like 15 minutes later. And so immediately he has to be rushed to some other hospital, and it's raining, and the whole experience was traumatic. I didn't sleep that night. They had to give me a tablet to sleep. It was frantic for me. And then he spends 2 weeks in an incubator, and there's no support whatsoever for you, the mother. They're thinking about the son. They're thinking about how they have to raise money to pay the bills, and you are not sleeping, and you have to pump milk to go and give in the hospital and go 2 times a day to try to bond with the son. Oh. And then he comes back home, and that experience is buried. So I don't go for any counseling, nothing. You just have to suck it up and breastfeed. And I'm having all of these thoughts, and I'm struggling, nothing. And then my 3rd pregnancy, it's a girl. It's a difficult pregnancy. I try to offer myself the best support I can in terms of follow-up, because I was working at that time and everything. But the labor is also a difficult experience. And then she's born, and she too has a breathing difficulty, and she's put into an incubator, but she doesn't make it. The next day at 4 a.m., I just have a feeling something is not right. And I wake up to see her dad talking with the doctor, and I just go in there, and I see they've covered her with the white sheet, and I just show my hand, and they just put her into my hands, and I know she's dead. And I just kiss her, and then they just take her away. And once again, we don't talk about it. I remember my mom coming in, and they took her out. I wasn't to leave the hospital, so they took her and they went and buried her. I didn't even see where she was buried. And in short, they came back, and it's like, okay, you have to go and stay with your mom. Don't talk about it, no grieving, no talking, no support, no nothing. By that time, I went under the bed in the hospital. I just wanted the ground to open up and swallow me, because you can imagine all what was going on in my head, all the everything, the trauma from childhood, the abandonment, oh my goodness, the abuse, etc. Everything came. I'm like, this is my own daughter, and she doesn't even live to kind of just know me, and for me to just give her all the love. And I was just thinking about all what I've been through with my 2 pregnancies and all of that. And then, well, the depression that followed, was just terrible. And I wasn't talking about it because nobody has time for that, Maybe her father was dealing with his own grief in his own way. I don't know. We never talked about it, and we've never talked about it to today. I didn't talk about it with my mom because you don't talk about this kind of things. You don't. If you talk about it, you're not going to have another child. So what they want is for you to just get over it and get pregnant again. And at that time, I couldn't even have intercourse with my husband. It was impossible. I couldn't just get past that to kind of just be me. I was sick. I was restless. I was anxious. I was depressed. I was everything. I was working. Some days I cannot go into work. I will just be crying from the time I leave home to the time I get to work. And I'll just call my supervisor and say, I'm sorry, I can't come in today. And she'd be like, I understand, you need help. But where do I get help from? This thing of psychotherapy and all of those things, that they don't exist in my country, Maybe 1 or 2. Today I'm 1. And sometimes I'm overwhelmed with the amount of people reaching out to get help and everything. But so that was it. And then the last pregnancy I had, I don't know how I got pregnant. To be very honest, I don't have any qualms in saying that I was raped by my husband. We need to call a spade because, frankly speaking, I wasn't interested at all. And then, well, the pregnancy goes so well. This is my last son, who is actually sick now. He's 13 today. So no, he's 13 in July. So when I think of him, I think of my suicide attempt. By the time I'm 5 months pregnant, I'm still so depressed, and I'm so worried about if he's going to come out healthy and if he's going to die. And I'm seeing a spade under the bed to kill me. I'm seeing what my ex-husband, he was something. So I used to see a tool of his under the bed. I think the jigsaw, yes. I used to see that. I don't know if it was real or not. I used to see a machete. I was so scared. I stopped sleeping on the bed. And I didn't know who to talk to about what was going on. And then I had rheumatoid arthritis. They thought it was due to that. So they would take me to cardiologists, to this and that. And they would say, nothing is wrong with her. And they would give me a medication or two. But then the delivery went well. But I couldn't bond with him, and he used to breastfeed so much. And I would get so angry because I'm like, wow, why would you be sucking me to crazy when we don't even have a relationship? Who are you? Like, my mother-in-law had to come and take him away when he was a month old to go and live with him because I couldn't stand him. I couldn't stand the whole place. I was really sick. And it's now that I do understand postpartum depression and I realized what was going on. My saving grace, to be honest, is that I left my marriage like maybe he was 1 year and 10 months when I left. Like, leaving saved me. I would have either killed myself or killed somebody or just burned the whole house or stuff like that. So I just want to say that maternal mental health is something we take for granted in Africa. And I've spoken about it elsewhere before today. And I'm like, oh, we better be careful. When we hear of people, mothers out there who have driven with their kids into the ocean or who have put them in the deep freezer and stuff, we are quick to label them and judge them and blame them. We don't know. This, my son, he's currently sick now. He has a condition called hematuria. I've been working with him from hospital to, since Wednesday last week. And I'm just getting back on my nerves again. And of course, his father doesn't really understand. He's just thinking about the money and all of that. And I'm like, anyway, God, just give me the grace to be calm through it all. So I'm happy to belong to the peer network. You are such a support system. Edwin was talking about support system. Well, I know you're going to ask me maybe something about that, but I just mean to say maternal mental health is for real. Do not suffer in silence. So I'm grateful to share my story. Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you, Marie. Yeah, that's obviously quite surreal, and the way you speak is always very real and it's to the point, and like you say, let's call a spade a spade. Yeah, there's so many things that we go through and we hide and we can't speak, well, we feel like we can't speak about it, etc. But on that, I'm just going to jump to my last question actually. So you've obviously been in advocacy for some time now. So, you've experienced many things in different areas as someone with lived experience, as a psychotherapist, as a barista, etc. Where do you see the change? Like, where have things improved, do you think, or haven't they?
Pardon?
I said, did you not hear, Marie?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I said I was just asking, where have you seen the change, if there has been change, just across, okay. Yeah, across mental health? Has there been a positive change, or are things not changing in your view?
Yeah, it's trickling in. The first thing, just like Rebecca says, people did not used to talk about it. People, we know about their experiences or about what's going on in their families with their loved ones and stuff like that. And my talking about it since 2018, 2019, frankly speaking, a lot of people have reached out to me, and people are now sharing their own stories too on social media. People are creating these groups. That's a change. I belong to a WhatsApp group called the Forum, which is of people who are in the field, the professionals, because I went back to school to study psychology and do a diploma in cognitive behavioral therapy. I just finished my master's in that field also. So yeah, from being a lawyer to now a psychotherapist and all of that, and all of those things, I see a change in all of those areas. Even when people come to me for different things, for example, with a legal case, they talk about their mental health because they have watched me talk about it. And I am so vocal to the point where nobody can even stigmatize me or even try to tell me to shut up or shut down. No. So yes, there has been a change. People might think it's insignificant, but just the fact that people can even speak up and share their experiences, and many feedback me and tell me thanks to you. I mean, that's enough for me, right? Yeah. And of course, I myself, I take better care of myself, because the more I speak, the more I realize I'm not alone, and the more I also learn from other people's experiences. And then, yeah.
Super. Thank you, Marie. Like you say, it's you need to be heard, and you're one of the realest people I know, not person. And it's beautiful. And like you say, you share every part of your experience, be it good, be it bad, etc. And that's incredibly important. So just my last question with you, just with your experiences that you've just explained with your birth with your children. So I'm going to just remake the question a little bit. So how would you speak to yourself when you didn't have support? So if you had you as someone you could turn to, what would you have said to that to yourself when you were going through those experiences with the postpartum and the depression, etc.?
Well, today what I'm going to tell to myself, if I could, knowing what I know now, I would say, well, you're going through this because you have to be the light at the end of the tunnel. A lot of people are still in the tunnel and there's no light. So somebody has to be the light, you know. So I don't regret my experiences. I consider them experiences. They are helping me a lot to be able to have so much compassion for myself and for others, and then to help other people know that, well, life happens, right? We don't really, we cannot pick between some decisions we can make. Some things just happen like that, and we have to deal with them. And then maybe the choices we make now would affect us. So if I could tell myself something, it might have been, well, you should have thought twice about the choices you were making when your parents broke up, when this, when that, when that. But you know, age is also a factor. We are young at that time, we don't know better, and we don't have people we could look up to who had been through such and who were sharing their experience. So I can't beat myself up for what I did not know. I did not know, for example, how your parents' divorce can affect you. I did not know, for example, how just, you know, having sex with a young man can affect you. I did not know a lot of things I know today. So all I'm going to tell myself is kudos, you know, just go through it, look for the grace to go through it, and then use that experience, you know, to help other people.
I love that. Yeah, try not live in regret. I also, you know, it's so easy to look back and go, what if this could have been different, etc. But it wasn't, and it wasn't for a reason. It makes us who we are today. So I try not live life in regret. So thank you, Marie, and thank you again for sharing today, especially because you weren't having a great day. But we appreciate you so very, very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
All right, I'm just going to open the floor. I don't know, Zach, if you can maybe check Facebook if there are any questions, or if anyone would like to raise their hand here in the Zoom call. If you have any questions for our presenters, please feel free. This is a safe space, as I mentioned earlier. Anyone with any questions? Okay, I'm just checking the chat to see if there's anything we may have missed. Yes, Juliet, lovely. Juliet.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon.
Hi.
I'm Juliet, joining in from Bamenda, Cameroon. I'm a psychologist and a mental health advocate as well. Marie, thank you very much for sharing the link with me. I've always wanted to be part of this. Marie has talked so much about this platform, and it's quite an honor for me to be here today. I also want to appreciate the sister from Uganda for sharing her story. I'm sorry I came in late, the network was an issue. So my concern or question goes to the sister in Uganda and Marie as well. Now that we are who we are in Africa and we understand how challenging our culture, our cultural norms have been, and the role it has played regarding the whole issue of mental health, what do you think we can do, not just with policymakers, but traditional rulers? I ask this because I'm a PhD research fellow and my research proposal is on traditional psychotherapy, a remedy for trauma for the aging. Because I've looked at my experiences with my great-grandmothers, I saw my fifth generation grandparents, and so many things that took place back then, I can appreciate them now today as issues that could be handled professionally, but then there was no knowledge regarding these issues. And I was also exposed to some of these issues, which became very traumatic. So the sister in Uganda, what can you do? Or what have you been doing regarding the traditional institutions as well? Because it's not enough for just the policymakers, but our traditional institutions need to look at these things, because I've been doing something to that effect with my community, with my culture, with my funds. And I think we need to look at our traditional institutions too. So can anybody contribute on that? Thank you.
Thank you, Juliet. It's good to hear from you, and thank you for joining the call. Personally, what we've been doing, my organization is the CBO. It's a rural CBO. We are not in the urban centers. We are deep in the villages. And so what we've been doing mainly is education, educating the elders and the young people what exactly mental health is, and the symptoms, everything about mental health, the myths, generally educating people about what exactly mental health is and making them understand that it's an illness and that there's treatment for it. Yeah, so that's what we have been doing. We haven't really done it in the urban centers, but we've done it in the rural areas because so many people are focused on the urban centers, yes, where there are so many people dealing with mental illnesses, but also for me, it's more of creating awareness right from the grassroots. And so going deep into the villages, meeting with elders, because the people that raised me are elders, they're old people, and they didn't know. If they had known earlier on, they would have helped me as a child, taken me to hospital and given me the treatment. But that made me realize that there are so many elderly people who have children who are dealing with mental health issues, and they're not aware. And so it starts from a family level, educating the parents, educating the grandparents, the people that are taking care of their children. And in Africa, so many children are being raised by grandparents, aunties, uncles. And so just educating them that a child is not, crazy, they need help. And also educating them that they can also, they can have these issues. Our parents, our grandparents dealt with so much war and so many things that happened in the 90s and the 80s, and they're affected right now. How we're raised, we're raised with very, very strict parents. You do this, you're being caned. But that was just out of, they were angry at what they had gone through, and they didn't want you to fail. They didn't want you to mess up, but still they have to deal with that. They have to get to know that there's help and that there's treatment and that they're not okay, they need help. So for me, yes, that's what we've been doing. We've been educating them. Thank you.
Okay, thank you too.
Yeah. I mean, Juliet, thank you so much for joining and for raising this. This is so important, but personally, I am happy that you have brought this up, because I'm going to, look at it more keenly and ask you behind, like, what can we do in our own country to be inspired by what you are doing. I have never thought, honestly, of approaching traditional rulers, but they are so important because they are like the custodians, and the people can listen to them more than The people can listen to them more than they can even listen to us, But then, there's also the protocol. How do you approach them? And how do you approach people who might be the custodians of this concept of it is witchcraft? If somebody is behaving that way, then the person has been bewitched. I don't know. And then I think that if you get the mass hyped, you get the mass interested, then the mass can put pressure on these traditional rulers by the way they kind of pay attention to what's going on. And then that is going to make the traditional rulers to start changing, having this paradigm shift. And then they can now call the people together and sit down with the people or be more receptive to, let me say, the Western concept of mental health. I'm saying this because I think that back then, there used to be this thing of sitting around the fireside and the tree, but I don't know if it was just to tell ordinary stories or to listen to one another when we have problems. I know very well that I have a distant relative back then who died by suicide. And it was so hush, hush, hush. I was still a toddler. But I just know that she was there one time and the next time she wasn't there. And then there was some rumor that, oh, she had hung herself. But no, don't talk about it. And then last year, I also have another relative who died by suicide in a similar manner. And yet, the family, they couldn't still talk about it. The highest thing I heard was they just dug a hole where the thing happened and he was dropped there. And I tried to bring it up in a group. Nobody was going to entertain it. And I asked my dad why. And he was like, well, that's the tradition. So I let it. But just imagine if we could have this kind of conversations in, with the rulers and with the people. Maybe the people are fed up with being treated that way or being ignored or being fed this whole thing that, no, it's a spiritual attack or it's witchcraft. I don't know. So I'll be very interested, Juliet, frankly speaking, to connect with you on that. You see, thank you. You came up and then you've spoken about it. I didn't know you were doing such wonderful work. I think you should join the network. Thank you.
If there's a possibility to be part, I'll be glad. Thank you so very much to the sister in Uganda. Thank you to Marie. Thank you to. I'm so grateful. I say so because by God's grace, you know my story. Others don't know, but I hope with time we'll get to know. They might get to know if I become a member, if I'm accepted in the forum. And most of what happened to me was associated to witchcraft and traditional things like that. However, by grace, I was able to survive it, and I had the help I had. And there are some of these things that when I look at the DSM-5 module for diagnosis, I see that most of what the traditional societies consider as witchcraft or bewitchment or things that are not ordinary are in correlation with some of the symptoms that you have to see in the DSM-5 model to actually diagnose a client to be suffering from this pathology or this pathology or this pathology. So education is important. And what I've been able to do in the grassroots community is I was privileged to work in the palace, and I was discussing some of these issues with the fund. And I could help him understand that some of the wives' behavioral changes were as a result of some of these things, and I could actually show evidence. And one thing which is funny is that sometimes there are the women who are actually inflicting more trauma or more pain on their sisters. Because look at widowhood. Widowhood rituals in my community at first was so traumatic. You instead add a lot of pain to you emotionally and psychologically beside the physical pain. And when the fund had to reduce the observation period from 1 year to 3 days, some women were still objecting to this. So education is very, very important, which is why my own safe space is not just Nalela Sanctuary for Mental Health, but it's Nalela Sanctuary for Mental Health and Culture, because we're trying to see the correlation between the two, because there's a severe correlation. There are some of those issues that we call their traditional practices, but if you just look keenly, you see that these are pathologies. These are pathologies that you can actually explain to them and say, although this is considered this, the white man says is this. It's not because it's coming from the white man that is not correct, but we can look at it from our own cultural lens and see that there is actually something. There's a universal it's a universal issue. So we shouldn't say, okay, bombang, it's a white man thing, or you know, that's just what I think. And I just want to appreciate and applaud you and every other person. And I'm just so grateful. If there's opportunity for membership into this forum, I'll be glad to be part of it, because I mean, we are better together. Yeah.
Absolutely, we are better together. Thank you, Juliet, and thank you for sharing as well. There's definitely a bridge between the traditions in Africa and mental health, you know, treatments and such, and it's important to, like you're saying, that we build that bridge somehow. As far as membership goes, that's something you're going to have to apply to the office. I'm not sure if you have, but hopefully you'll be successful. But I wish you well either way. And wish you well with all your work you're doing. Lovely. Thank you so much for your question and for participating. Thank you. All right, I'm going to do one last jump to Edwin. I think he's maybe off the charts. I hope not, but we haven't heard from him. Just a final word from Edwin, and then from there, I think we can wrap up. Edwin, do you just have a final thought or anything for us, please, if you are still there? Maybe not.
I'm still here, Sandra.
Oh, all right. Thanks, Edwin. Just
I'm still here,
thought.
Sandra. I don't know whether you can hear me.
Super.
Yeah,
Final
I think
thought.
what my parting shot would be for today is that mental health issues or mental health conditions are here. They are real, and there's a lot that can be done to try and basically manage and treat mental health conditions. These are not myths. These are not witchcraft. It's basically conditions that affect 1 in 4. And it is very important that all of us in our own spaces, we try to create more spaces where people can learn, where people can get information, and where people can get help. So let us do what we can do and be supportive of each other in this regard. And most importantly, say no to stigma at every chance you get. Say no to stigma, say no to stigma. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Edwin. Yeah, like you say, it's important to keep our voices loud and continue on our roads with advocacy. I think we can just about to wrap. I just have one final thing on my side. This will probably be my last webinar as the regional lead for Africa. It's been absolutely amazing to be part of this over the past year, and I think we've had some really great interactions and webinars and initiatives and projects that we've put together, but it doesn't obviously end here. On that, I want to congratulate our new leads for the next year. So it's Wilbrod Gamba. He's not on the call, so I'm probably saying his name wrong. Sorry, Wilbrod. And Edwin Mutura, who's here, our new co-leads for North Africa. I cannot wait. Northern Africa, sorry. Cannot wait to see what you guys do this coming year. And then for Southern Africa, we have Charity Kennedy and Marvin Kapenda. A very big congratulations to you all. I know that it will empower you even more, and absolutely with the best of luck. And you know, obviously you have my full support, and I know Marie will support you because she was you know, a big role model for me when I took on the regional lead position. So all the best and thank you. And on that, thank you to everyone who's been here today. Thank you to our presenters. Thank you to Zach. Zach is always phenomenal in the background. Thank you for all your work and all the best. God bless and Nkosi, and thank you. Goodbye.